Are we not fooling ourselves? The quintessential paradigm in which inquiry presumes the relation between cause and effect is an expected human behavioral norm incidental to coherence, through which civilized assemblages exercise their predominance. Do the why, how, and because relegate human understanding to endless merry-go-rounds expounded through a narrative constrained by the scope of question, rather than open to conjecture under the umbrage of unlimited possibilities available in answer? Beyond the narrow margins of inquiry, what has question to do with answer? Don't answers reflect mollified dependencies framed out of referential contexts, convenient to familiar assemblages of discernment, and extrapolated through the due diligence of free speech so encumbered by a norm dominated by effective coherence perceived as a needed attribute to understanding? Much of what we know is fitted into coherence, yet coherence supplies antecedents as a link to perceptual cohesion. It's collusion on a dimensional scale. And if so, don't answers then merely reassert the predominance of a perceptual assemblage from which the question is posed? And is this not a circular compact? Answers to inquiries add complementary antecedents indentured to the precedence of what is already known and accepted. In other words, going around in a circle may seem prudent as a precedent for interpretation and to assure validation within the linear reality understood. However, anything new must be pre-assimilated as contextually relevant while maintaining the overall integrity of compatible explanatory systems inventoried through language constructs. Could it be humans are so immersed in their contextual environment they are unable to perceive the illustrative presence which engages and captures their attention? Stop, step back and look. If understanding as you practice it is the only tool in your toolbox, are you not limiting your perceptual latitude to the boundaries of its expression? Do we not follow a consensus of standards that foment ideologies to torment human awareness into limited selectivity, rather than empower the expansive range of perceptual agility, highlighting human potential on its own terms? Modern humans are locked into limited selectivity by defining the agent of selection, such as language, as a focus of their attention from which the limits of perception are derived. These comprehensive living conditions impose constraints on a self-reflection, free at birth, but now forced to adapt at an enormous cost to human potential and perceptual versatility. These human beings, exploited by contextual oversight, exhibit countless maladies and psychologically adverse behaviors as a result of the conditions they are forced into. Coercive psychological restraints, contrary to human beings' most innate nature, causes debilitating consequences on human beings. Contextual oversight alters anthropomorphic balances on which humans base their self-reflection. Modern society is undermined by a plethora of afflictions, but we assign other reasons for each ailment into a type of self-fulfilling prophecy constraining our ability to discover the source. Our so-called understanding clouds what is really happening to us and why. Moreover, drug abuse, alcoholism, and a majority of the 3 million inmates are direct descendants of perceptual anomalies we've come to expect as behavioral norms, precisely because we've understood them within perceptual confluences we have been made hostage to. Language plays us as puppets on a string, and this fact must be grounded in us through redundant sources, since explanations may not convey the extent of the subversion with which we are dealing. And language, while useful, conditions perception to its advantage. Can you perceive without description, and can you describe without the structural integrity provided by language? Perception free of language deconceptualizes the parlance of perceptual habits. Advantages and disadvantages and numerous other constructs are positions advocated by language. But language ignores important perceptual schemes that are impossible to describe, so that what cannot be described cannot be understood nor explained. And what cannot be explained does not exist to people overly reliant on contextual applications provisioning common or basic situational awareness justified as a language prompt. For instance, most action narratives provide a contextual application, but they are merged through a perceptual interdependence often taken for granted, shrouding strategic enhancements. Critical background, namely procedure, progression, consequences, and other didactic exposures intuitional relevant, are hardly pertinent to the taxonomy defined through an articulated position. and pivotal perceptual nuances are often bypassed or made unavailable in the name of linguistic efficacy, and yet are strategic to action. The synchroneity in action goes beyond any description. The best race car drivers are not the best mechanics, meaning you are not the inventory of your descriptions. There is no doubt that language is an important tool, but it is not the only tool in a bag full of tools we have yet to discover. There is no question that perception is outmaneuvered by language, but only due to the absence of an awareness that counters the importance of its dependency. Language lures humans into contextual advocacy. Are you a puppet on a string? Are you free to choose, or is that freedom coerced into a meaning chosen for you? How can you be free when language manipulates the meaning to its advantage as a description controlled by contextual agents? Context is the matrix, and the application of language as the sole contributor to perception manage human opportunities as those we recognize. What about the rest? Expand your field of perception beyond context. Explanations and understanding are the boundaries of context. Gain your freedom from contextual occupancy, which manages your choices and your abilities to recognize anything beyond it. The real battle for freedom is in your brain. Use it. Learn to discriminate. Freedom is not just a contextual expression. Human beings are not their description. Descriptions fold everything into a contextual matrix where everything is described, explained, understood. Who are you? No, not who you think you are. Come visit us at teachtolearning.com.